Hi everyone. We wanted to talk with you for just a minute before we get the video started today. We wanted to let you know that things have changed in a pretty big way.
Yeah, we're home now, and we're basically, there's not a stay-in-place order here in Utah, at least not at this point, but we are doing our own stay-in-place. We go out only for food and essential things.
Exactly.
So the videos that we're making are before the coronavirus was really a big issue.
Yeah.
And
we are safe. Our whole family is safe. Everyone is being really careful and staying where they're supposed to be, which we're really grateful for. We want to make sure that you understand that we are, by continuing to put out our videos, we're not suggesting that you go to these places right now. Many of them are closed anyway, so you wouldn't be able to go. But certainly when you can, venture back out when things calm down. So we hope you enjoyed the video today. We had a lot of fun going there, and it's a great story. So we will we'll let you go for right now, and we'll go on with the video, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hope you enjoy it.
Take care.
Good morning and welcome. We are in the Tucson Mountain Park right now near Tucson, Arizona. And we'd like you to meet Skeeter. Skeeter is our DJI-matic drone, and we're still working on learning how to
use it.
How to control him. He gets a little out of control, but we're having him stay here in the picture with us today. Derek, how long do you think that drone can stay in the air?
Well, it can stay up for probably 20 minutes for sure. Maybe as much as 25, but that's pushing it.
Could we keep it up in the air continuously for 46 days?
The only way I can think of is if you had some kind of adapter to go where the battery is and a really long extension cord.
Okay. What about an airplane? Could an airplane stay up in the air for 46 to 47 days without ever touching down?
Not normally.
But it's been done, and we're going to show you.
We're going to tell you how it was done.
Stay tuned.
Yuma is a small city in southwestern Arizona known for agriculture, retirees, and 365 days a year of beautiful blue skies. The City Hall in Yuma is a lovely building surrounded by desert plants and large palm trees. A 2-story lobby greets the visitor, and there's an airplane hanging from the ceiling? And what is this vintage Buick convertible doing here? To answer that question, you need to go back to the 1940s. World War II was over, and the troops and personnel that had called Yuma home were gone. The U.S. government had closed the air training facility that operated from the early years of the war, and with that closure went jobs and people. The town was dying, and it seemed there was little anyone could do about it. However, one day in the spring of 1949, 4 local businessmen hatched an idea. They wanted to convince the U.S. government to reopen the airbase. They wanted to showcase the perfect flying weather Yuma could provide year-round. At that time, flying, and endurance flying in particular, had captured the nation's imagination. Endurance flying means staying aloft in the plane and not touching down for fuel and supplies. 10 years earlier, in 1939, a team from California made it 30 continuous hours by being refueled from a speeding car. Another team in California broke that record in March of 1949, flying 1,008 continuous hours. Could the city of Yuma break that record? They were determined to try. First, they located 2 willing pilots, Bob Woodhouse and Woody Youngward. Then they found the perfect plane, an Aranca sedan 4-seater, borrowed from a local entertainment company. The plane was outfitted by a professional mechanic and readied for the long flight. Their goal was to fly 1,010 hours. That would beat the California record by 2 hours. 10-10 became the rallying cry as the whole town got behind the project. But how were they going to get fuel and supplies to the 2 men? Horace Griffin, a local car dealer, was able to supply a 1948 Buick convertible. The plan was the Buick would race down the runway while the pilot maneuvered the plane directly overhead. The Buick was outfitted with rails which would serve to support the volunteers as they stood up in the speeding car. The pilot, not flying the plane, would lean out a specially made door and take the pails of fuel and other needed supplies. He would then hand back out empty pails, used clothing, and other items no longer needed. The first 2 tries ended far short of their goal, but they kept at it and got the problems ironed out. Finally, on August 24, 1949, they were off. The pilots flew the plane in 4-hour shifts. One would fly while the other rested or did necessary chores to keep the plane running. Not only did they need to fuel the plane, but every 100 hours the oil had to be changed, and they even had to make repairs. At first twice a day and then 3 times a day, the plane and the car performed their delicate dance up and down the runway. Supplies, gas, oil, food, clean clothes, and other needs all handed back and forth between plane and car.
The fuel was passed up to the pilots in 2.5-gallon cream containers, and the plane used 156 gallons a day. Divide the 156 gallons by 2.5 gallons per container, and that's 63 containers a day. Divide that by 3 times a day, and you get 21 containers per fuel run. So how many did they use during the whole flight? Multiply 63 containers a day by 47 days, and you get almost 3,000 containers full of fuel for the entire flight. And that is over 7,200 gallons of fuel. The weight of that fuel is more than 20 times the weight of the plane itself.
Day after day, night after night, they flew the little plane. As they got closer to the record of 1,008 hours, they began to get more and more media attention. News reporters from all over the country watched and waited to see if they could really do it. October 1st, 1949, at 7:15 in the evening, all of Yuma went dark for a full minute as the pilots flew over the city and broke the record. Sirens blared, horns honked, and the people were jubilant. They had done it. Bob and Woody kept on flying for 9 more days. They wanted to beat that record soundly and show the United States Air Force that Yuma was the place to be. Finally, on the evening of October 9th, with some mechanical issues looming, they decided they had done enough. They would fly through the night and land in the morning. So on October 10th, 1949, escorted by 8 U.S. Air Force F-6F Hellcat fighters, the little plane that could touched down. 1,124 hours after they started, 80,000 miles, almost 47 straight days of non-stop flying. They were greeted by 15,000 cheering fans, their wives, and the media, and the feat worked. They proved their point to the government, and within 2 years, the United States military reopened the base in Yuma. The base is still there, an important and vital part of the United States military and the city itself. But the story doesn't end there. Remember, the plane is hanging in City Hall. How did it get there? The plane itself was, for some reason, sold and taken out of Yuma. The Buick, after racing up and down the runway over 1,500 times, was retired. As 1999 approached, some of the Yuma residents wanted to commemorate the 50th anniversary of that historic feat. But where was their little plane? Jim Gillespie, a pilot and Yuma resident, along with a friend, tracked the plane through FAA records to a farm in Minnesota. Jim, along with Judy Griffin Spencer, her husband, and the Yuma JCs, spearheaded the effort to bring the little plane back to Yuma and restore it to its former glory. A 1948 Buick convertible was located, restored, and donated to act as the refueling vehicle used in the original stunt. Then on October 10, 1999, in front of cheering crowds on runway 35 of the Yuma airport, the restored City of Yuma, a Ronca sedan, and a 1948 Buick convertible just like the original roared down the runway together one more time. The plane was piloted by Jim Gillespie, the man that started the search for the plane. Horace Griffin, now 78 years old, once again floored the accelerator of the Buick and got in formation with the plane, just as he did 1,500 times back in 1949. And the original pilots, Bob and Woody, now in their 70s, were also able to take their plane for one more spin that day. Following the reenactment in 1999, the plane was placed in storage. In 2004, mayoral candidate and later Mayor Al Krieger vowed he would find a spot for the plane to be displayed. That campaign promise came true in April of 2012 when an all-volunteer effort that included the family members of some of the original 1949 crew installed the plane and the Buick in the Yuma City Hall lobby. Mayor Krieger stated, quote, "It shows pride in what others accomplished and stands as an inspiration to people to think big," end quote. We first saw this display in 2016 and devoted an entry in our then travel blog to it. Then, and in this most recent return to Yuma, the story of the City of Yuma flight and the daring of the pilots and crew, remember they stood up in a speeding car 3 times a day for 47 days, reminded me of the stories my dad told. In his autobiography Flashbacks, he tells about a time in the 1950s, only a few years after the City of Yuma flight, when he and some friends bought and restored a TG-2 Switzer Army surplus glider they named the Tweety Bird. With all the publicity around the City of Yuma flight, I'm pretty sure my dad and his friends may have been inspired by their daring, but they sure thought big and got into more than a few scrapes with that glider. But they learned a lot and they had a lot of fun. So what can we take away from this account, from this little piece of history? Well, maybe this is a lesson in thinking out of the box. When you, your family, your company, your school, your town, even the world is in trouble. We can't control a lot of things, but we can control our reaction and response to events around us. We are currently facing a big challenge in our world. Tell us in the comments what you are doing to help those around you. What will you do to help your family, your community, and the ones you love? How are you thinking out of the box? The City of Yuma faced their challenge and saved their city. They did it. We can too. Until next time, take care.